And that's our vocal warm-up done for this week.
Yes.
Ladies and
Really
gentlemen.
getting the pipes greased.
I do love a good open chamber. Boys and girls, one and all, Kalukale, good day. It is I, Christoph, oh, God, that hurt, Johnson.
And I, Matthew, the true heir of King Arthur Watson.
And you're listening to Big Damn Cast, geeky gossip, nerdy news, and just general bullshit nattering, because we're all going to die one day, so let's do it in the meanwhile.
All that stuff. You know what I did yesterday, Cocker? It's Easter Sunday as we're recording this.
Yes, it is. So you know that massive news story that came out like in the last 3 days, ladies and gentlemen? Well, we didn't see. We're not talking about it.
When the folks will be hearing this, Avengers Endgame will be out.
Yeah.
And we'll have probably seen it by the time that people are hearing this. But we won't be talking about it till next week.
In all of its spoilerific glory. But until then, bigger turds to fry. What were you doing, Cockle?
You know what I did yesterday? I went over to my old man's, and we always watch a bunch of shit when I'm over there. But I watched the Macra Terror.
Oh, the remake, the animation.
I watched the Macra Terror. I did not think I would spend an afternoon over at my dad's getting pished and watching the Macra Terror. But I did.
What sort of experience was it?
Pretty good.
That good,
And then we went on to Now TV and we watched Mom and Dad with Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair.
Oh, we talked about this ages ago.
Rather good, obviously. Because it's Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair cutting loose.
So, essentially someone said, look, in this movie, you're a murderous parental unit, and go.
Everyone's a murderous parental unit.
Yes, it's like a plague or something.
Yeah, it's like some kind of signal to makes all parents want to kill their children.
Oh, as you do.
As you do. And it's, it's great.
As one does.
It's really great. That's what I did yesterday. What have you been doing recently, Cocker?
I've been following the Yellow Brick Road for so long.
Yeah?
I think I might be walking in the wrong direction, because I never get anywhere. You think you found the Emerald City, and then you walk in it again 3 hours later. I've been.
Are you going to ask the wizard for?
I'm going to ask the wizard for a new pair of Air Nikes. No, I don't know. I don't have any comfortable footwear. Well, that's not a thing that involves learning about yourself. I don't care. Give me shoes. Give me shoes or I'll expose you for being the tiny man you are.
I want material goods only, wizard man.
Bring me meat and bring me mead. Or I shall expose you in the Emerald City equivalent of OK Magazine.
I shall expose myself
before your people. They shall see my munchkins.
Well, let's talk about exposing.
Where the fuck is this segue going?
Things we've been exposed to this past week that we have to talk about.
Aha, nice.
The Child's Play trailer.
Aye.
The full official Child's Play trailer. And also, Star Wars Celebration happened and all the news came out of it. Like, this huge news clot was removed from the cyst that is Star Wars Celebration.
Oh, that's unpleasant.
That was a strange metaphor, but I'm going to lean into it. So we're going to dig into all that stuff before we
dine on shit.
Dine on the recent Hellboy reboot. And I would say go and see it before we dip into spoilers, but I don't think anyone else has, so you should be fine.
Well, also, if you want the spoiler-free opinion of it, you did a wonderful video of it on the YouTube channel. Everyone go check it out.
Why, thanks, Cocker.
But if you, I recommend that for the first time ever, boys and girls. I recommend if you've not seen it, unless you are dying to, don't bother. Stick around. Yeah. We have things to talk about in relation to that film.
We'll tell you all the good bits. It won't take long. So
check the time codes. It's 30 seconds long.
So, Child's Play.
Yes,
the new one, the new remake with Buddy, the tech doll. The full trailer came out, and we've had our first look at what that movie's. We have a better look at what that movie's gonna be. And as the resident Child's Play expert, tell me how you feel
Tell
Tell me how
me.
you feel, Chris.
Tell me, Don Miguel.
Tell me of El Diablo.
I still have a cloud above my head I can't quite shake in the form of sort of the machine that is the Child's Play and the Chucky franchise being kind of usurped by this film in a way.
Yeah.
Because I think they're doing amazing work with the ongoing series, and I really hope that this film's existence doesn't jeopardize the TV series, which is the next step for the main franchise.
Yeah.
But as a comic book fan, I am always interested in reinterpretations and alternate takes on classic settings and characters. So
as long as they're done well, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to see this movie. I may feel dirty for seeing it, but I am curious about this film.
I mean, we're going to have to see it anyway, so we can podcast about it.
Yeah, well, true, I suppose. Oh, darn it. But we won't like it unless we do. I
don't think I'm going to feel dirty about seeing it.
I'm intrigued. This new trailer is intriguing. Yeah. It doesn't look like it's going down the voodoo route. Again, might be a misleading thing. It might just be hidden for the film. But pros. Sentient AI that taps into everything around you is something that could work very well, especially in an age of paranoia where we're all becoming more increasingly aware of when our phone starts advertising stuff to us we spoke about in recent conversations and things like that. Like,
that's weird.
That is like, voyeurism and being spied on and everything has been done before, but this is sort of directly tapping into that idea that, all of this stuff, it's interconnected and it's thinking independently of what you ask it to do. So that's a nice and scary sort of thought. Terminator repackaged for a new generation to a degree.
Pulse. The 1980s
Pulse.
Cult classic.
Yeah.
Pulse. Cult classic.
Good pull. Good pull. Good pulse. So that's fine. I'm excited by that. Good cast.
Yeah.
But they're really leaning on from the producers of It. So much so that the thing that this trailer screamed to me simply was, this is going to be It, but with technology.
Well, that's just what the marketing has to be, I think.
Oh, no, but I mean right down to it being a gang of teenage kids that are going to deal with the monster themselves and the parents don't believe them. And I think that's skirting too close to It.
I hadn't thought of that, actually. I hadn't thought of the way in which that connection would play directly into the actual narrative of the film. I just figured it was going to be, it's the marketing thing because that's the most recognisable thing they can play on.
It's not necessarily a response to the 2017 film itself. It's more a response to Stranger Things and the resurgence of 80s kids going on adventures media in the last few years. So it's
on a slight tangent. Did you see that the Duffer Brothers and Netflix are being sued for stealing the idea for Stranger Things?
Oh God, from who?
Basically, there was 3 people, the Duffer Brothers and this one other guy, who pitched the idea to Netflix. But Netflix only ended up working with the Duffer Brothers, so this other guy's taken him to court.
They could have avoided that completely had they just simply given him a small buyout fee to say thank you for your time and everything, and credited him in the credits as based on ideas by blah blah blah. Like that
no.
They could have avoided so much trouble, but they were so greedy as an entity that they didn't once think, maybe we should give some credit to the dude who was a quarter of this brainstorm. That's so shitty. Oh, I kind of hope he wins.
Well, if he does win, they'll have to destroy everything related to the production.
Really?
Yeah.
What? Like everything going forward?
He's not going after credit. He's going after the destruction of the franchise.
Okay, that's unreasonable. Especially as his Endgame, because all that will make him is the dude who got rid of a show everyone loves.
Hey, just saying.
Instead of, he's he should be going for the Bill Finger thing. Do you know what I mean? Of like, this guy's also responsible for this thing we love.
Mm-hmm.
Not, this guy destroyed the thing we love because he doesn't want us to have nice things. That's really stupid. Okay. I don't want him to win. I also burped.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
I'm also,
it's worth looking into. We might look into it and talk about it another day.
I'm also drinking.
Especially when Stranger Things 3 comes around.
I'm also drinking at 3 in the afternoon, so that's a strange thing.
Good. But yes,
Child's Play.
It's coming off the back of the resurgence in 80s.
Yeah.
Interesting 80s stuff, and Stranger Things, and that's also what they're leading into.
It's a little too close for me.
There does seem to be more of a thing in marketing now to be from the producers of. Like that's become a thing that people have started to follow. Which, for better or worse, because some producers have little to no influence on the work that is made under their name, and some producers have way too much, but that's something we'll probably get into later. But yeah, I think it's an interesting looking movie. I think it looks like they're definitely going to play with the idea of that interconnectivity and...
Well, the Kazlan promo video just started to go like that stuff's really freaky, and again, just the glimpses of these almost sort of DIY death traps that seem to be part of it are really unnerving, and like that stuff's really creepy.
A bit of small soldiers in there.
Yeah. You put military grade chips in toys, but like the Kazlan cars and things like that, like it's. This doll is extending its reach. As for why it's doing this, I guess we'll find out. As for why it sounds like a dude in his 50s, 60s, I guess we'll find out. But one thing I will say, there's one Debbie Downer that I'm vibing right now.
What's your Debbie Downer?
I really don't like the look of Chucky. Now that we're seeing him,
face.
Yeah, it just kind of. I think it's more that it looks more like a CGI creation. I know it's a practical effect, but that clean, kind of almost illustration-like visage.
It's too clean.
Yeah, it's not based on anything. Like it's derivative of the good guy doll from the original, which in itself only worked culturally as something people recognized because it was derivative of the Cabbage Patch Kids, the My Buddy, those kind of toys from the era. So it's sort of a shame. It's like they've tried to it's like Freddy in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Like, well, he was a burn victim, so let's give him realistic burn victim burns. You're like,
if I were the person in charge of this remake, I would have made it clear, and this might be the case in the movie, I don't know, but that this is like a nostalgia-fueled modern update of an old 80s toy.
Yeah.
Given the iPod treatment.
Yeah, absolutely. But then I suppose the point then would be, well, why not just watch the original or set it in the 80s?
Because nostalgia.
Yeah.
But you make that part of the plot.
True. I'll say this for Nout. One thing I am excited about, though, is the score. The composer has been talking about that they used a toy orchestra. So the majority of the instruments are instruments children could buy from the 80s onwards that were like toy, like Fisher-Price instruments and things like that.
That's quite cool.
Which is very reminiscent of the more modern Chucky films, the ongoing theme, the sort of theme for the films. That
also, I think it brings up an interesting opportunity for dissonance.
Yes.
In terms of visuals and sound.
Yeah. So I'm game for that. I don't know. But we'll find out when we watch that in a double bill with another film with evil dummies in it when Child's Play and Toy Story 4 hit cinemas on the same day.
Oh, that's going to be an interesting day.
Yeah, that's going to be bloody weird. I mean, Child's Play is going to be buried. It's going to be absolutely buried.
Oh, yeah. Too right.
As a result of their cockiness. But,
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's going down.
I hope I enjoy it.
Something that isn't going to be buried, although it will be going for a quick rest, is Star Wars.
Currently no immediate plans for a big movie, as sort of confirmed.
After episode 9, the movie franchise is taking a bit of a rest.
I'm game for that.
I'm definitely game for that. However, they are gearing up their TV projects. We've now seen a little bit of. Yes, it was Star Wars Celebration recently, and we have details and footage from The Mandalorian, which will be launching on Disney Plus as their live-action bounty hunter series set after Return of the Jedi. We've got the title and the first trailer for Episode 9. We've got a new video game coming from Electronic Arts, finally. And we've got some more stuff from the Clone Wars TV show revival. So it's been a big old weekend.
So damn
in the world
much.
of Star Wars. Let's save the episode 9 stuff for last, and we'll run through other stuff quickly. So the stuff that we're less focused on is, of course, the Clone Wars TV stuff. The Clone Wars is getting another season to help bridge the gap between Clone Wars and Rebels. Ashoka's going to fight Darth Maul. Cool. All right. Fine. That's fine.
Matt's really excited, guys.
Yeah. I mean, the animated stuff's not my bag, but it's interesting.
It's just more Darth Maul. I think they're using that to bridge that gap that they clearly wanted to deal with in the films, but have obviously decided to not do.
That would be between. Oh no, yeah, no, that would be between Clone Wars and Rebels. You're right. I'm talking nonsense.
It's all right. So the people who put together that rushed bit in Solo.
Hey.
I recently found out Peter Serafinowicz recorded his lines for that.
Yeah,
they got him in.
He only found out at the premiere that they didn't use it.
Yeah, because he didn't get invited to the premiere, and they realised they hadn't invited him, and they sent him a message to be like, "Hi, so it's someone else in it now. Bye, sorry."
It wasn't even like the production; it was like one of the people on the production team who's a mate of his.
Yeah, mental.
Mental. Give him a heads up. That's poor, very poor.
That's the second time Star Wars has shat on him.
Yes.
Because he didn't get invited to the premiere of Phantom Menace either.
Yeah. And I think he has some of his Phantom Menace stuff cut as well. He only really has one line in it, doesn't it?
At last we'll reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we'll have our revenge.
I feel like there might have been more stuff in there, but they got cut. Anyway, so yeah.
Clone Wars, to bridge that
New
gap.
Clone Wars stuff. New video game, again bridging that same gap. It's post-Purge. Oh, no, not the same gap. It's a little later. It's post-Purge. You are a Jedi Padawan survivor. So, a bit like, what's his name in Rebels? What's he called?
Oh, God. Thingamajig with his face and his neck. Yeah.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
That's the one. But, Blaze McComfort.
What's he called?
Bold 2-in-1 non-bio.
He's somewhat the last Padawan was he? But he's not, clearly, because there's a Padawan in this. Yeah, EA are doing a single-player, story-based Star Wars, developed by Respawn, previously known for Titanfall, Titanfall 2, and Apex Legends. So that's a weird switch.
It's an odd one.
So much of the promo for this game has been no loot boxes, no microtransactions, it's single-player, it's story-focused. It's like, okay, what about the Visceral Games game?
Yeah.
What about that studio that you shut down?
Oh, God.
Bellends. But yeah, it's supposed to be a...
Just wrestle it from EA at this point, please.
Yeah.
Come on, Disney.
They've described it as a thoughtful combat action game. So people have taken that as it might be a bit Dark Souls, Bloodborne-y. With a Jedi Padawan who is in hiding and trying to keep a low profile and just survive amongst the newly risen Imperial
Imperial regime over the galaxy.
Yeah. But it looks like he's going to be forced to reveal his powers and then go on the run, and there's an Inquisitor in it, and probably Darth Vader as well, because the Inquisitors are something that was introduced in Rebels and pops up in other media since. Basically, Darth Vader's Jedi hunters, most prominently in the turned up most prominently in the Rebels TV show.
Oh, I recall that.
Kanan, that's what he's called.
Kanan.
That's what the one in Rebels is called, not the one in this. I don't know what the one in this is called. Something.
Banan.
It's Cameron Monaghan's playing him.
Oh, cool. Good for him.
Yes.
Good for him.
That's fun.
And his terrible Joker. Good for him.
It might be a pretty good game, maybe. And also, there's a Vader Immortal VR thing, but it's VR, so sure. Whatever.
Something VR, something Lord Vader, something Execute Order 66.
Execute Order 66.
Roll it again.
Yeah. So yeah, that's happening. So I guess I'm probably going to get Disney Plus.
Yeah,
because
I'm feeling it.
I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if they've officially released it. I managed to find an off-screen recording of it, but there was a behind-the-scenes featurette for, and also like a 7-minute chunk of the first episode of The Mandalorian.
I have not seen this. Tell me, Don Miguel.
Oh, so
sorry. Tell me, Boba Miguel.
Boba Miguel. So The Mandalorian is set 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and it's in the Outer Rim on the frontiers. There is a Mandalorian, a bounty hunter, played by Pedro Pascal, the titular Mandalorian.
Mandalorian man.
Yes.
DeLorean.
What's his name? I'm trying to find a name for him. And he's basically just eking out a living as a bounty hunter on the frontiers. Things are all in flux because it's only 5 years after Jedi, so the New Republic hasn't quite taken hold. The Empire is still knocking around in certain parts of the galaxy, and then so the footage we see in the footage we saw that was shown is, so there's the Mandalorian is meeting with Grief Marga, played by Carl Weathers, who is the head of the chapter of a bounty hunters guild in the area, and he's trying to find a decent bounty, but things are thin on the ground because money's up and down because we don't know what's going on government wise. And then he gets let in on I've got this one really weird job that might, maybe that's a bit under the table. Goes and meets Werner Herzog. And he's got...
Not playing a character, he's just Werner Herzog.
It's just Werner Herzog. He's great in this.
I have sat here for several days thinking about whether a stormtrooper and a bear could ever be lovers.
I hear you are the best in the parsec. Actual dialogue.
Oh, God.
Even if you are expensive. Lower your blaster. It's the footage is great. It looks like a fucking great show.
Is this the Jon Favreau directed season opener, I'm presuming?
Yeah, this will be...
Because he's show running it, isn't he? And has directed a chunk of it.
Jon Favreau.
Oh, yes.
Jon Favreau is.
And there's directors like Taika Waititi are involved.
Taika Waititi's done some on it. Bryce Dallas Howard has done some on it.
Oh, that'd be good. She's a good director.
So yeah, it's been a real... Let's just get everyone we can to do some of this thing, and it'd be really cool. They're basically throwing everything they can at this to make it a success. Gina Carano's in it. She's an ex-rebel shock trooper, and but obviously the war's over. So what's she gonna do with herself? There's still stormtroopers running around. There is so this bounty that Werner Herzog is putting this guy up to is like, you've got to retrieve this person or kill them and bring back a body for less money. But all the data and stuff is 50 years old, so this person's been in hiding for a while, and you got to go get him. But yeah, and there's a bit of a trailer for it as well, which shows some other footage from later in the series with a voiceover from Herzog that is sort of implying that it's going to have quite a political slant to it.
Okay.
And like what like the rebels, now the New Republic, have taken down the Empire, but now this that period of peace has just given way to chaos and what's going on now, and maybe we were better under the Empire and all that kind of thing. It looks really good. Like the footage, it looks, I mean, not just in like, oh, that looks like something I'd like to watch. It looks like they've spent some serious fucking money on this. And yeah, I'm jazzed for it. I'm jazzed. I think it's going to be great. It looks like a true space western.
A western
on the frontier, and it's something with I think we can be fairly confident it's not going to get into fucking Skywalkers and Han Solos and all that business. It's just in the Star Wars universe, on the edge of it. Cool things can happen. I'm down for that.
Are you down a clown?
I'm so down for the Mandalorian. So yeah, I guess I'm getting Disney Plus. They also talked a bit about Disney Plus, in a wider sense. And I think they've said it's going to be, when it launches, it'll be 500 films and around 7,500 episodes of TV.
Bloody hell! I mean,
and it's cheaper than Netflix.
That's true. Well, I hope the price does translate over here.
I think it's like $5.99 a month.
Oh, good lord! Oh, good lord! Oh, good God!
Yeah,
we'll never have to leave the house again.
Disney are going hard on this.
They really are. I suppose when you've got all that stuff, like, what have you got to lose?
Yeah, quite.
Oh my God!
So,
and Star Wars and the MCU are front and center with the "Hey, come along and subscribe to us, motherfuckers" content. So
yes, because we've got Loki, WandaVision.
Weird name, but fair enough.
Yes,
the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Again, weird name, but fair enough.
Yeah, whatever.
A Hawkeye show, which I don't think they've confirmed yet, but it's being talked about.
The rumour is it's Clint Barton handing over to Kate Bishop.
Which would be amazing, especially if they go full fraction.
Yes, which they can't do because... Well, they can't do it totally because of the family situation of Hawkeye in the MCU, but then that might not be quite the same coming out of Endgame. We don't know.
Yeah.
We'll know.
As long as they take inspo from it and have at least one moment where he avoids gunfire, leaping naked out of bed, and a tiny little Hawkeye face covers his junk.
Or, have the immortal line, "I'm great at boats."
Oh God, yeah.
And other things beside. That Fraction series is really good. Yes. So, Disney Plus is happening. Star Wars at the forefront. But the big one, the one we all came for, was, of course, the Star Wars Episode 9 panel and trailer reveal and title announcement and all that business. Star Wars Episode 9.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
The Rise of Skywalker.
Come again.
The Rise of Skywalker.
The Skies of Rywalker.
Very odd title.
It is. You know why? I don't think it's odd because it's an odd sentence per se. It's just the cadence of it is really weird.
Yeah, it feels a little clunky, doesn't it?
But I imagine, I'd wager...
It feels a little clunky in the mouth.
Well, in 1980, I'd imagine that The Empire Strikes Back kind of felt that way.
I don't know. It does roll off the tongue in a quite...
But we did grow up in an Empire world, so
we
maybe that's why.
We did grow up in a post-Empire hellscape.
Post-Empire hellscape?
Empire Strikes Back is still the best Star Wars movie.
Oh, hands down. Hands down.
It's so good. Yeah, Han is down at the end of that. That's very true.
Meats.
But he gets back up again.
They ain't never going to keep him... Oh, and now he's been stabbed.
Well.
On a space bridge.
Then the planet exploded.
Oh God! Should we talk the trailer first?
Yeah, I guess. Well, there's not much else to talk about with the trailer because the panel was like just Stephen Colbert asking the cast questions that they couldn't fucking answer.
Oh,
and, it's nice to see all those folks bantering on stage, especially what's her name? Naomi Yaki,
the lady with the fantastic hair.
Yes, who's playing Janna. What is her name?
Whose costume colour scheme has got the internet debating whether or not she's the child of Lando Calrissian.
Naomi Yes.
Not just because she's the only other black lead in the film who's new to the cast, and also because Disney do tend to have a tradition of the sequels about their kids.
Yes.
Oh God.
Which the one thing I don't think they're doing is I don't think they're going to be turning around and going, "Oh, Rey was a Skywalker all along."
I hope not. I hope her parents. I hope her parents are still no one special.
Well,
like, that's kind of part of the charm of her, is that the Force has clearly picked her for a reason.
There's been some stuff going around of, like, go back to episode 7 and listen to her talking to Maz Kanata after she has a Force vision. And Maz is all like, you know the answers already, and you know that, what, you're looking for a family, but it's ahead of you, not behind you.
So again,
this is your family.
This is your family.
There is no family waiting for you.
Yeah.
Because they're gone. They're done.
They dared / hookers somewhere, absolutely zoned out on death sticks.
So, it doesn't matter.
And you didn't want to sell them the death sticks.
No.
You wanted to go home
and rethink my life. But I was just too late. So yeah, I don't think they're doing that. What they are doing, from the looks of it, is making Rey into an awesome, badass ninja who does backflips over TIE interceptors.
As one does.
Oh, that opening part is so cool.
It's incredible, isn't it? It's so cool. And just how they let that shot linger as well.
They've also, people have been pointing out that it's a visual homage to North by Northwest.
Oh, shit, of course.
Apart from obviously the flip.
Well, I don't know. I can't remember how sober I was watching that. But I'm pretty sure he backflipped over that crosster.
Yeah. But the way it's framed with the TIE fighter coming in over her shoulder as she runs into the camera, is a visual homage, certainly. One thing they did say on the panel is that there's definitely been some time passed since The Last Jedi. It doesn't pick up from from exactly at the end like Last Jedi did for Force Awakens. The characters are going to be going on an adventure together. So we will actually get Rey and Finn and Poe spending some time together as a unit. And of course, Rose and BB-8 and BB-8's new mate, Dio, and Chewbacca, and the whole gang. Lando Calrissian's back, and is Lando fucking Calrissian? What do you want?
The shot of him in the cockpit just having a big old cheer did get me.
Yeah.
I was on a break, and I watched
also
the trailer, and that shot
like,
made me go yay audibly.
Billy D. Williams on the panel just chatting about and being charming as fuck. I think someone asked him, like, what, was it well, I think one of the questions Colbert asked him was, did you have to take some time to find Lando again? And Billy D's just like, hey, Lando never left. It's just, oh, you're so cool, even though you are so old.
Oh, he's old as balls. Like he flits between that realm of existence where you go, oh, I feel really sorry for him. He seems really kind of in a bad spot.
A lot of times when you see him,
and then he speaks, and you go, God damn it, Billy D! God damn it!
So cool. But he's got a cane, so he looks cool as fuck.
He does.
Yeah, they've talked about that they're going to reuse a bunch of unused footage from Force Awakens that they've been able to integrate into this to give Leia a proper role.
Yes, which
though Carrie Fisher is sadly no longer with us.
Because of course, The Last Jedi, there isn't really any scenes with Leia beyond her goodbye with Luke. Like, she's there, but they don't. She doesn't really speak with Rey or whatnot for a prolonged period and such. So it's like there was clearly stuff from toward the end of that movie that they didn't use and now have the chance to integrate.
So that'll be interesting. But yeah, it looks like a Star Wars movie. Of course, the big surprise from the trailer and the panel with a surprise guest is that in some form, at least, Palpatine is back.
Nothing ever really stays dead.
No one's ever really gone.
That's it.
Is the line in the trailer, and then there's the laugh. Yeah, all new Luke dialogue, by the way.
Yeah, because that was the thing. That was the thing with Force Awakens, wasn't it? The last trailer for Force Awakens was Luke voiceover, but it was all voiceover from Jedi.
Yeah.
And they'd got Mark Hamill in to re-record a few words so that it sounded a little different.
Yes.
And then, of course, he didn't say a damn thing in the film.
No. But this is all new Luke dialogue, so, we know Mark Hamill's in this, so he's either going to be popping up in flashback or as a Force Ghost / Force Vision, so that's no surprise. But then we get the Palpatine cackle, and then Ian McDiarmid comes out on stage to rapturous applause.
And says... Roll it again!
Roll it again. I can't remember if he said play it again or roll it again.
And
roll it again.
And then the projector guy's like, I've put the other thing up now, and he's like, oh, whatever. Never mind. And then they all sit there in awkward silence for 5 minutes while the guy tries to find the file on his computer. And it just sort of went downhill from there, really. And
yeah, it was just a real mess.
And Star Wars was cancelled.
Yeah. But yeah, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine's back in some form, probably because it looks like in the trailer. Again, this is speculation based on the barest of evidence. It looks like that they're either at Endor or Yavin. It'll be it'll be Endor, won't it?
Yendin,
because there's the wreckage of the Death Star.
Yes.
And were it me writing the story, as we always say, then I would be telling the story of the ghost of Palpatine, the spirit of Palpatine haunting
yes,
the wreckage of the Death Star where he was killed, because his Force presence is so strong that he's still tied to this world through, the sight of his death. And also, we could also be getting those weird Operation Cinder droids from the Battlefront 2 campaign, and also from a couple of the novels, where, I don't know if you've seen this, what happened after his death was a bunch of droids were sent out with instructions.
Yeah.
And they were like red robed, like the Praetorian Guard.
Yeah, and his face is projected onto the face.
Onto the inside of the helmet, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get that as well, because that looks pretty freaking cool.
It's a great visual. Like, it would be daft to not capitalise on that, especially when, it's part of the canon. Like, come on, give us some more palps. Give us some palps, son. Some sweet-ass palps. Oh, God. I just love the fact that prequels and everything, people are just so excited still to see this actor in this role.
Yeah.
It's really damn sweet.
Like, hey, there are bad things about the prequels. Ian McDiarmid is not one of the bad things about the prequels.
No, he's having a whale of a damn time in those things.
Yeah, his character might get some stupid shit to do, but not because of...
Do it, you little shit. Do it, you little fuck. I see your little fucking face, like.
Yes, I am jazzed for Episode 9, but I was never not going to be jazzed for Episode 9, so that doesn't come as a surprise. But yeah, the Palpatine being back thing is interesting. People are, of course, there are other people on the internet who are going, oh, J.J. Abrams is going to come in and fix everything that Rian Johnson got wrong. But I do not think this is going to be like a fan service.
God, no.
It's going to be fan service because it's fucking Star Wars. But I don't think they're going to be retconning a bunch of shit from The Last Jedi to keep a certain segment of the fandom happy.
Oh God, no! I mean, there might be some story elements that JJ was like, I really wanted to do that he's able to weave in, and it might mean like not retconning, but a little bit of backflipping to do. I wouldn't be surprised if he did that. If he had like, oh, in the last one, I'd love to do this. But that's waylaid it slightly. Okay, well, we'll do this in this one to get back to sort of that, and now I can do it. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was that, but he's definitely not... He's not going to fix Star Wars. Like, that's ridiculous. I didn't like The Last Jedi, to remind those listening, but it's its own thing, and it's a quality piece of work, and to shit on it would just be a disservice to the whole story. Like, accept it, and it's part of the lore. That's how it is. If you don't like it, do what I did. Don't buy it. Like, there you go. Plain and simple. But, don't shit all over the hard work that went into it just because you hope that JJ's going to do something different. It's like, He will tell his story in service of the two that came before it.
Yeah.
And he might make tweaks, but he will not eradicate what happened between his films. There's no way he's going to do that. That'd be stupid.
But I'm intrigued for it as well because both J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy have turned around and said this is the end of the saga. So, the Star Wars films we'll be getting in the future are not going to be part of this sort of Skywalker saga. And when was the last time J.J. Abrams actually ended anything?
It's very true. Mind you, Lindelof's nowhere near this, so...
Yeah, that's true. But J.J. Abrams is so guilty of the well, he's spoken about it at length, his idea of mystery box storytelling. And Force Awakens was so much that, which is also what I think led to some of the disappointment of some sections of the fandom not getting the answers that they wanted because they frothed themselves up into a frenzy about what everything meant. So seeing Abrams actually take a narrative and put a definitive end on it is going to be interesting. Because I do like him as a filmmaker, but he doesn't finish things. And yeah, so I think it's going to be cool.
Cool.
I think it's going to be cool.
Cool.
Title, Rise of Skywalker. Do we... one of the common things that's been going around is what if Skywalker is no longer a surname but a title? So so Rey doesn't restart the Jedi Order, she creates a new order of Skywalkers.
Yeah, she rechristens it, essentially, and it becomes a new thing. I'm game with that, because that would be the perfect way to end that saga. Like, it would be the complete loop. This child will bring balance to the Force, and eventually, it's a long road, and a lot of blood is shed, and he makes some big mistakes, as do his children. But like, eventually, it happens. Like, I'd be down for that.
And it takes someone who isn't related to him to sort of go, okay, this is what you were trying to do. Let's make it happen. I'm excited. I'm intrigued to see where they go with it, and just to see like the Rise of Skywalker. What the fuck does that mean? And Palpatine back. Everyone on an adventure together. Death Star wreckage. More Rose.
Poe Dameron dressed as Drake from Drake's Fortune.
Yeah. Kelly Marie Tran got the biggest cheer of anyone on the panel as well.
Good.
Except for maybe Ian McDiarmid when he came out after the trailer. But
to be fair, that is a mic drop moment, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. But he didn't drop the mic, he just spoke into it in his Palpatine voice. Right, so that's all the news.
Roll it again.
Roll it again.
Oh, I dropped the mic. Oh, cock and balls.
Cock and balls. Speaking about cock and balls.
Oh my god.
They call this the Middle Age, the Dark Ages, for good fucking reason.
So as you may know,
although
I think most people have passed it by completely.
Thank God.
Because it's not doing well. The box office, Hellboy, the 2019 reboot of the comic book adaptation based on the Dark Horse comics by Mike Mignola, has been released. The new version, taking a clean break from the previous adaptation by Guillermo del Toro, starring Ron Perlman, Selma Blair, Doug Jones, et al. This is a new version directed by Neil Marshall and starring David Harbour as the titular demon man, with Sasha Lane, Daniel Day-Kim, Ian McShane, Mila Jovovich, and others beside.
And indeed, betwixt.
Now, as I noted in my video, and as other people have noted in their reviews as well, the reason why this movie sucks, and it does suck.
Yes, that's the politest way of putting it.
It's not because it isn't Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy 3. Like, the fact that that movie isn't happening is not the fault of anyone involved with this, and that's not why this is bad. It's bad because it's a fucking terrible movie. And not, I might add, because people weren't putting effort in.
Oh, effort's been put in, yeah.
The things I will say for this movie, Neil Marshall can direct the fuck out of horror. I will say David Harbour does a mostly pretty damn good job of embodying Hellboy. There are some moments where he's fighting with the prosthetics in ways that he isn't in other moments. It's very inconsistent. So I think maybe there was some reshoots done. And also he's fighting with the editing and the script and the dubbing. The dubbing in this film is fucking shocking.
Painful.
Ian McShane is being Ian McShane. Mila Jovovich is clearly having a whale of a fucking time, as is Stephen Graham.
Who comes out, I think comes out of this as the least offensive and most enjoyable portrayal of anything. Stephen Graham, in terms of the performances.
Yeah, his turn as Graugak, which I don't think he did like motion capture or anything for it, because it was a practical on-set effect mostly.
A practical on-set effect that looked amazing when it was a practical on-set effect.
Yeah.
And then looked dreadful every time it spoke, and it became a CGI monstrosity.
Yeah, Graugak, by the way, is a giant pigman. That's not really a spoiler. If you've ever read a Hellboy comic, you've probably come across him. He's a fairly major character. There are some really, really cool practical effects, which are all then shit upon by some terrible CGI. Bad compositing, shitty editing, bad colour grading. Like, on a technical level, like the actual putting together nuts and bolts of this film, not only is the script a mess, but the film is just shoddily assembled.
Good Lord.
Across all aspects of it. Cinematography, editing, framing, compositing, effects, like colour grading, sound mixing, soundtrack choices, like just on every level, this film is a mess.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame because it has, for as messy as the script is, it has some great ideas.
Oh, some cool ideas, for sure, absolutely.
Again, Neil Marshall can direct the fuck out of horror and action, because he's done it before, and he has a good eye for that stuff, but it's lost in translation here. And again, David Harbour's Hellboy could have been a really great version of that character, but it's just lost in this mire of shite.
The shite mire, if you will.
So yeah, without getting into spoilers just yet, we are going to. It is, Hellboy is an agent for the BPRD, Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defence. He is a demon that was summoned forth by the Nazis at the end of World War II, but he's become a force for good under the tutelage of his adoptive father, Professor Trevor Broom, here played by Ian McShane. And in this film, he ends up in Britain as the evil witch Nimue the Blood Queen from Arthurian legend is in the process of being revived to wreak havoc on the mortal world, and he's got to stop her, basically.
No disassemble, Nimue! No disassemble!
The film keeps forgetting that that's the plot.
Yes, Christ, yes.
So you'd be forgiven for wondering, if you're sitting watching it going, wait, what's the story again? Even though it's a really simple, straightforward story, but they fuck it up so badly. That's the story. It's poor. It's a piss poor movie on nearly every level. Don't bother. But if you do bother,
or did, unfortunately, prior to this.
Or did. If you do bother, and if you did and you want to get into it, we are about to go into spoiler territory for Hellboy 2019. But in short, it sucks.
Yeah, it's not good.
And I might add to that, it sucks, and I hate that it sucks, because I really, really wanted it to be good, because I really love this character, and I really love the previous adaptations, and I really love so many of the people involved in this. And I'm gutted, absolutely gutted, that it's turned out as poorly as it has. So, spoilers.
Everyone dies.
Everyone. Well, no, a bunch of people do die across London, but in a way which is completely disconnected from the things that are actually happening in the plot. Even my dad pointed this out, because I went to see it with my dad, and he's got He's way more forgiving of terrible movies than I am. We both enjoy terrible movies, but we
come out of a terrible movie and you'll go, oh god, that was bad. And your dad's like, oh, it was great, wasn't it? Oh, it was dreadful. So much fun. Give it credit. I mean, we had a good time, didn't we? And it's like, God, we did.
Every time I'm at my dad's, I watch a shitty movie or something, or something that's like, oh, this probably looks crap. But we watched The Scorpion King a couple of weeks back. That's a terrible movie, but it's kind of fun. But this isn't. There's not much fun about this film.
Oh no!
It thinks there is, and at some point in the production, it may have been, but it has not come through in the final product. So in the climax of this film, you've got the stuff going on with Hellboy and Nimue at St. Paul's Cathedral, and then across London, you've got all these demons coming up from hell and massacring people in really, visually interesting and sort of cool ways for the gorehound in all of us, who likes a bit of fantasy violence, but it just has no relation to what is actually going on. It's just something else that is going on in another corner of the world that has no bearing on the characters that we actually care about. Like, we don't see any of the characters that we know in peril from these events, so they're completely nebulous.
Yeah.
And they're kind of just for eye candy. This film's guilty of that all fucking over. So, let's go from the top, Christopher.
Ugh.
Let's go from the top. We've got this horrendous prologue.
God.
That covers Arthurian legend.
That makes the prologue of Transformers 5 look brilliant in comparison.
Yeah. Also, I will add, all the Arthurian stuff from the comics.
Oh yeah, a good chunk of this is from, I can't remember the name of the arc specifically, but a good chunk of this is from a run.
Well,
of
this is the problem.
Yeah.
This is the problem. Hellboy as a comic series isn't like other comic series in that, like your Spider-Mans or your Batmans or whatever, it's mostly a single series that's run for 50, 60, 70 years.
Mm-hmm.
Split up into, smaller stories, but within a more, a massively ongoing storyline that keeps getting reset and whatever because of time, but, it's still one thing, essentially. So when you're adapting it, you don't really adapt. You might sort of half adapt a story from here or there, but what you're actually adapting is the setting and the characters. Hellboy is a series of sort of self-contained, very episodic miniseries. Like 3 issues, 4 issues, 6 issues here and there, that do tell a larger narrative, which is now concluded, I think, for the most part. But it is very episodic storytelling. So you could quite easily adapt one of those series.
Yeah.
Which is basically what Guillermo del Toro did with Hellboy 1, is he sort of adapted like half of Seed of Destruction, which is the first Hellboy miniseries, with his own twist on it.
Yeah.
This tries to adapt elements from about 4 different miniseries. Which all, they do have a continuity of plot within them, but the way that this combines all the elements just means it's a jumbled mess. And you've got things like Hellboy's ancestry as the last descendant of King Arthur, the Baba Yaga, just the Baba Yaga, Nimue herself, the Hellboy causing the apocalypse and refusing his destiny. All that jazz. That's all taken from different stories and just sort of jammed together. So it doesn't really gel.
Yeah.
Because it's so... The elements are so out of context and jammed together that they don't work. Like the Wild Hunt.
Yeah, Christ, yeah.
Again, it's a concept which is just so skimmed over.
They've taken the ingredients of an amazing lasagna, a gorgeous gammon and egg dish, An incredible Black Forest chocolate gâteau with ice cream. They've taken the garlic bread. They've taken the freaking prawn cocktail. They've taken all these wonderful separate things, and then just gone in the middle and gone. It tastes great, right? It's like no.
It absolutely is the case, as they were saying before it was released, that this is a more faithful, both in terms of the tone and the characters and plot elements that are used, adaptation of the material than Del Toro's. That doesn't make it better. As we've said so many times, the faithfulness of an adaptation is almost completely divorced from its quality as a work.
Oh, God, yeah. An element of tone, the spirit of it, needs to be retained. But aside from that, do what you need to do to tell that story in that medium.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily just try it. Like, people always say, well, the MCU is great because it sticks close to the source material. It does in terms of the spirit of its characters and a lot of the visuals. But
that's
it's
what
not
I mean.
the same. Yeah.
When you are adapting a long-running comics property, you can't. It's difficult to adapt individual stories. You kind of just have to adapt setting and characters and maybe some plot elements from the arc here and there. But you could quite easily adapt the sort of self-contained Hellboy stories although they do take part in a larger narrative, into a singular arc, into a singular film, because they are very much stories in and of themselves. But it feels like they just grabbed whatever they could and stuck as much of it in so they could turn around and say, oh, look, this is from the comics, this is from the comics, this is from the comics, this is from the comics. And it just doesn't, none of it works. None of it works.
It's the feature-length equivalent of that scene at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2 where that bloke walks past all of the tech.
Yeah, basically. But it takes 2 hours. So
pretty much.
We get this prologue about
voiced by a harsher, more kind of militaristic version of Professor Broom.
Yeah, Ian McShane. I like Ian McShane in this because he's Ian McShane. What are you gonna do? But also, like, he doesn't get a lot to do. Rumours are part of the trouble. So rumours are this movie had a really troubled production.
Neil Marshall's DOP, who he's worked with on everything,
was fired.
Claimed apparently by one of the producers, one of the 16 producers.
Yeah. So the main thing is that the main thrust of it is that there were 2 producers. I'm just going to look up. Who one of whom was acting in the stead of the other. This has all been denied by one of the
producers' lawyers.
Producers' lawyers, of course. Although others have declined to comment. But the producers were so bent on interfering in the project that they basically took control of it away from Neil Marshall. But part of one of the trouble production is that apparently David Harbour and Ian McShane rewrote a lot of their scenes because they were so bad, and they still turned out like they turned out. So what were they like to start with? But yes, so it was Lawrence Gordon, producer, and Lloyd Levin. Lloyd Levin apparently acting mostly on behalf of Lawrence Gordon, and it's Lloyd Levin's attorney who has denied these allegations.
God.
Basically, they were trying to... I quote, they were trying to send a message to Marshall that despite being the film's director, Marshall was not in charge. And that was why they fired Sam Curdy, who is Marshall's regular cinematographer, and he was replaced during shooting.
They fired him to basically say, you're not the big boss, even though the director wouldn't be going from that point of view. He'd be going from, just let me make my movie.
Yeah. Lloyd Levin was getting involved in... apparently getting involved in actor rehearsals and contradicting Marshall to the point when Harbour walked off the set because Marshall wanted more takes and he just refused because all the stuff being going on. stuff was rewritten on the fly, and apparently the tree that Nimue is like linked to, fucking hell. Apparently they got into an argument about that where Neil Marshall was like, yeah, it should be, twisted and asymmetrical, and then the producer was like, no, we want it symmetrical.
So they were just doing it to spite, essentially.
It seems like that. But again, this has all been denied by Levin's
attorney, which is a perfectly normal way to deny rumours against. Fucking stupid, innit? Oh my god.
And no one else involved has, of course, commented. Like Neil Marshall, David Harbour, they've not commented.
Neil Marshall didn't show up to the premiere or do any press.
Whoa, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Did not get involved.
So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the problems with this movie can be attributed to its fucking troubled production, and it was because it is such a mess.
Oh god, yeah.
So we get our prologue. We get Hellboy in Mexico fighting a luchador vampire, because that's the thing that happens in the comics, but they don't set it up with the gravitas that it has in the comics, so it falls kind of flat. I actually thought the first half hour of this film, there's actually some pretty good stuff in it.
Yeah.
The first scene with Hellboy and Professor Broom
is great. Yeah,
it's great. It's just them bouncing off each other and sort of establishes their kind of relationship. But we don't really get that again.
In fact, their relationship later in the movie almost contradicts how it is in that scene.
Yeah, it's much spikier and he's much more resentful. And I suppose you could explain that by him being manipulated by Nimue, but it's... Again, the characterization's not done well enough for that to be clear if that's the case, or if it's just bad writing. Yeah, Hellboy gets invited on the Wild Hunt to take down giants, but it turns out the Wild Hunt are trying to kill him. And we get the flashback of his origin. Lots of fucking flashbacks in this movie. Like, way too many flashbacks. Flashbacks for things that are also then explained in detail by other characters. Like, you don't need a flashback for it, you can just talk about it.
Well, the flashback to his origin knocked me sick. So,
what, because it was so similar to the Del Toro?
Well, not just that, but like, if you're doing a flashback to an origin for a character that isn't the focus of the main story, but you just want to drop it in, like, you want to drop that it looks like he came from hell. And we've seen it done in a previous movie, and it was done very well. Like, the prologue, the opening sequence of the 2004 film is done really well. So, you don't want to do the exact same thing. So, do it minimalize it. Because we know that he's a big demon boy. Big old horny demon boy. You just need to show him rising.
He's a big old horny demon.
So you just need to show flashes of the island off the coast. The Nazis there, this, that, the other, boom, if it goes wrong.
Yeah. Do it in sepia tone, or like, like old film reel style.
Broom arrives. Broom arrives, and this child crawls from the thing, and he was meant to kill him. And you leave it at that. Instead, they go full on the comics, essentially do an entire short, abridged, less interesting remake of the prologue of
replace the Torch of Liberty with Lobster Johnson, because of course the Torch of Liberty only appears in that first arc in Scene of Destruction when they do the origin, and doesn't appear again because he's actually a John Byrne character, and they were going to do a shared universe but then decided not to, so that's fine. But they had to establish that there was a superhero here as well, and it's
so already in that scene it's there's superheroes in this world, and then add on top of that the fact
they only
that
put the lobster in because so they can go, that's from the comics.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the original movie, you're watching it going, oh, we're just going to throw away Clockwork Sand zombie dude.
Yeah.
Who gets a shot and then doesn't do anything.
There's Cronin, there's Ilsa.
We're just going to throw away Rasputin. We're going to I guess we're just throwing him away.
Yeah.
Is Lobster Johnson. It's like, wait, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And also,
all over the place.
BPRD in this movie have the Fist of Doom logo, and yet apparently none of them know of that prophecy.
Well, Broom does.
Yeah, but why would he install? Surely Hellboy would have at some point gone, hang on, is that me? Is that my hand in our logo that's on all of our shit?
Oh no, it's not his hand. It's like it's holding a weapon.
Yeah, it's right under Doom holding a sword, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not the right hand of Doom. It's just a hand holding a sword. It's not based on Hellboy's hand. But yeah, he does know the prophecy.
Oh, God.
But...
And the fact that apparently till now he hasn't questioned how Broom has barely aged.
Yeah.
Like, Hellboy's never questioned it. Even though Hellboy himself is in, like, his 60s, he's never questioned.
Which they solve in all the adaptations by having Broom be fucking old.
Yeah.
I mean, Ian McShane's in his fucking 80s, so there you go. Although he doesn't look it.
The power of wearing skinny jeans and not giving a fucking interviews, basically.
Yeah, too true. But also, they kill Broom off really quick. In the original Del Toro movie, he gets killed off about halfway through the film.
Yeah, during Act 2.
In the original Seed of Destruction comic, he's killed off in the first issue. And he only really appears in flashback or in short stories that are set before Seed of Destruction. So he's not as prominent as a character as everyone seems to think he needs to be.
Although I think it feels like he needs to be more prominent just because Del Toro's one has such an interesting setup for their relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That you think, it's a shame that he's not here anymore because I'd like to see more of these characters interacting.
Well, yeah.
Which this film gives you in that brief,
you get that brief
shaving unquote scene.
Yeah,
which I think is that's probably the scene that they rewrote.
Probably
because it's the only one with any humanity in it.
It feels like a characterful dialogue scene with two people interacting, as opposed to this is the plot and this is what's happened up to now and this is what's going to happen next. And also, here's a little bit of backstory that we've already shown in flashback. Like, that is nearly every fucking dialogue exchange in this movie. It's not dialogue, it's just exposition.
Basil exposition.
And, fucking hell. And so much of it is... so much of it is delivered by Daniel Day Kim's Ben Damio and Sasha Lane's Alice Monaghan, who are both Americans doing terrible British accents.
Committing crimes against just the UK.
Fucking awful British accents. Mila Jovovich's British accent, I think, is fine because it's moustache twirly, basically.
Yeah, she's not amazing with her vocals in this, but she gets away with it.
Yeah, because she's going for a cartoony performance.
Am I right in saying that it's Daniel Day Kim?
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that was the role originally given to Ed Skeen, who then Ed Skeen, when he found out the character in full, turned down? Because because
he was a white person being cast as a character with Asian heritage.
Yeah, so but he wasn't told that when it was pitched to him, and then he started doing the research and went, hang on. And he confronted him. He took one look online, saw that fans were like, yeah, this is bad. And he went, yeah, they're fucking right. And he turned around and he went, I'm stepping down from it. And we all immediately went, you know what? You're all right, Ed Skeen. You're all right.
You're all right.
Francis!
Yeah. But it's just... But it's not even like Daniel Day Kim and Sasha Lane are doing bad performances. It's just the voices.
It's more that everything they're given to work with is dreadful, and it's made more dreadful by the fact that they are not very good at speaking the lines because of their accents.
No, and I just don't understand why you would. I don't understand. There's got to be a
better casting choice for these roles out there. Yes, absolutely.
There's got to be a British actor with Asian heritage who could play Damien.
Neil Marshall's
There's got to be.
Neil Marshall could have been like, right, guys, can we take that again? Can you not say "arse" or whatever it was?
You know what happens? Clearly what happened is they tried to fix a lot of it in the dub.
Which makes it even worse because that means they had two chances to make them sound good.
Because look at how much of the dialogue in this movie is dubbed.
So much. Oh, guys.
Look at how much of the dialogue in this movie is
so
dubbed.
So much of the dialogue in this, ladies and gents, is ADR'd and ADR'd dreadfully.
Oh, yeah. But even like the way it's inserted, like it's ADR'd when the character is off screen or has their back to the camera. And you're like, oh, fuck me sideways. This is a mess. And that doesn't become obvious until it's during the... Not until during the Wild Hunt sequence is when it starts happening a lot.
Yeah, oh God.
Like, the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie aren't too bad, but after that, the first time I really started to notice it is during the giant fight, which has some really interesting action beats, but is spoiled by bad dubbing, really terrible choice of music, bad sound mixing, and really bad compositing.
God, it's just so. Matt, I had limited time off during this Easter season,
and you had to spend 2 hours of it watching Hellboy.
I could have gone and seen Us again.
I know, right? But no, you had to see Hellboy.
Oh God!
I wanted it to be good. Like when the reviews started coming out and they were like, "Oh, it's not great," I was like, "Oh, okay." And then more reviews started coming out that weren't just like, "Oh, it's not great." They were like, "This is actually terrible." And I was like, "Oh, I'm stealing myself for it." And then I went into the cinema being like, "I really hope they're
hyperbolic,
sort of
yeah,
hyperbolic." And for the first 30 minutes, I was like, "This is pretty good. This is pretty good." And then it just gets worse and worse and worse as it goes on. So you get the Wild Hunt fights, the giant fight sequence, which you get, and that's where it starts to fall apart. That's where the cracks start to show in the production. And actually, after that, I can't actually remember the order that things happening because it's so all over the place. I know there's a Baba Yaga sequence, which
let's talk about
incredibly out of place.
Let's talk about the first appearance of Baba Yaga along with Piggy Boy,
Graugac.
Graugac.
G-R-U-A-G-A-C-H.
Graugac.
I think it's Graugac.
The first appearance of those two is literally
I have been beaten by Hellboy. Well, I've been beaten by Hellboy. You should kill him. Yes, we will get to him and we will do this to kill Hellboy.
You're like, who are these fuckers?
Yeah.
Where have they come from? Who are they?
They put them in there because they're from the comics. If you've read the comics, you'll know who they are. But they don't do any of the work to establish who they are for people who haven't read the comics.
I mean, we get a Graugac flashback that ultimately implies that his bent for revenge that's been going on for 20 years is kind of pathetic.
Yeah, it is.
Like, but really pathetic. And not in a way where you go, well, this character seems like a petty character. It's like, no, seriously, dude, why are you after Hellboy? He disrupted you once. Oh, because, like, my kind wouldn't accept me anymore. You're all little shrimpy pig things. I'm pretty sure you'll be fine. You change shape, for Christ's sake.
But again, that's because they distilled his story from the comics so much that they didn't get all of it in there.
And again, but like that's leaning into the fantasy thing. So that's leaning more into that, Golden Army style fantasy comic book. But then the film is like, oh no, the superheroes. Oh, and this is also Men in Black, but like the world knows about the BPRD sort of. So we're kind of S.H.I.E.L.D., but at the same time, Hellboy's the best we have, which is weird because every single fight scene, and tell me if I'm wrong, Matt, every single fight scene, bar one, ends with, is entirely, Hellboy gets smashed, then he gets up, then he gets smashed, then he gets up, then he fights a bit, then he gets smashed. I mean, and then he does one thing that sort of wins the fight, and then he gets either knocked out or incapacitated. That's every fight scene in the film.
And I'll tell you...
He's a shit agent. He is a shit field agent for this supernatural army thing. He's terrible.
He's their muscle, basically.
But
in the
what
comics,
shit muscle?
Again, this is a case of them bringing in too many elements from the comics and not doing enough work to establish them. In the universe of Hellboy, in the comics, there aren't superheroes per se, but there was a real masked vigilante in the 30s called the Lobster, who then went on to inspire a bunch of crappy pulp serials and movies, but also he continued to exist as a ghost after his death.
Yeah.
And Hellboy kind of idolizes him.
Yeah.
The BPRD is public knowledge, as is Hellboy. There is no masquerade. But again, in the film, they don't take the time to explain that and also examine the implications of what that actually means. So, like, the public, but they accepted knowledge that weird stuff happens in this world, and the world's mostly the same, but people are kind of aware that things are a bit weird, and there's a sort of occult undercurrent to everything. That's something that feels right in the world of the comics, but doesn't work in this movie because they don't do the work to establish that. Hellboy gets the shit kicked out of him frequently. but he is the muscle, and the reason he gets the shit kicked out of him frequently is because they always send him up against the really tough shit.
Yeah.
And he's always out of his depth. But the fact is, he can take so much punishment, which they do some of in this. It's like when the Wild Hunt are fucking stabbing the shit out of him, he then manages to get up, dust himself off, and take out 3 giants.
Yeah,
but we don't really see enough of a fight again.
There's never a moment in the movie where he does something that makes you go, "Oh shit, he's cool." Like, he never really does anything in an action set piece that makes you go, "He's cool as fuck." He's managed to do that. He's turned the tide at the last second. Oh, he just got away with it. Oh, thank God, Hellboy.
I think there is some of that in the giant fight.
Well, I don't know. But, maybe when he swings it around and cuts the leg off, but everything else just sort of feels like, oh shit, what should I do? What should I do? And again, I get it. Like, he is there. He's there. You know, part of the charm of that character, like you said, is that he's usually out of his depth because he's relied on to be the one to deal with that shit.
Yeah.
But I think, again, the Guillermo versions and the animated films do a much better job at that because they his attitude is so much more blasé in those ones. Yeah. And he also, you know, regularly is like, oh crap. Like, you just sort of get more of a sense of, here we go again. And but then he still has those moments where it's like, oh, you're good. Like the entire bit with the plant creature in number 2, where he's scaling the building, trying to take it out whilst protecting the baby, is just sort of like, he's dealing with it, and he's totally screwed if he gets one step out of line, but it's still cool, because it's like, dude just saved a baby. Like, this is awesome.
But and again, in the comics, what you get is that, he's a lousy shot, but
that's why he uses massive bullets.
Yeah.
to try and cover the ground.
Yeah, but he's quite a skilled hand-to-hand fighter, and he's naturally quite gifted with a sword.
Oh my God, Lucy pointed this out.
Because she said, he's a descendant of King Arthur.
Yeah, Lucy pointed this out. She said, did you notice he barely used his bloody fist?
Yeah.
I think he hit someone like twice. And one of those times is freaking his partner in the epilogue in the face.
Yeah.
Which I don't care if you're a Jaguar person, it would have shattered his skull.
Yes.
So, God.
It is
a 2017 film. Oh, right. Oh, you're talking about Hellboy.
It is. I don't know. I get, like, after you get Alice and Damio, everything just kind of blurs into
Jesus
mess.
Like, what you need is a proper English breakfast. How do you take your eggs scrambled? I make you a cup of tea. It'll be a jolly good time. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Why are you in this role? I'm sorry. Why the fuck are you in this role?
Yeah.
This is which Guy Ritchie film was it that Brad Pitt rocks up in as an Irish traveller?
Oh, Snatch.
Yeah, and you watch it and you go, why did I ever like this guy? This is awful. And then you watch him in other stuff and you go, no, actually he's great, but like he's so wrong for that role. Wrong for that role. This was 2 people who were so wrong for that role. And I wonder if that same complaint... I'd love to read some reviews from the US reviewers for Hellboy, because I'd love to see if it's been picked up on as much overseas.
I believe it has.
Oh, good, because it shouldn't be tolerated. It's like that episode of Friends where they've got that mate of theirs who she pretends to be British and she says, "Oh, I feel like a complete arse," and it's like,
arse.
Oh God, yeah, it's
piss poor.
Oh good Lord.
And then it's just silly things like
I don't know
things happen.
I don't know who Hellboy is in this.
No,
he's a demon baby that Broom took in. And obviously decided... He did, everything Broom says is essentially based on what we see of them beyond that first scene with them together.
Yeah.
Everything he did because he wanted Hellboy to be on their side. That's it. It is purely that selfish. But the film tries to pretend that it's deeper than that. But it isn't. Because no evidence suggests that he is a person with a personality. No. Or his dad is a person with a personality beyond the mission. Nothing suggests that. They try and give him quirks.
But only in those first couple of scenes.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, he's getting drunk. Okay.
Yeah.
Where's the cats? Where's the baby Ruth? You know what I mean? Like, where's the relationships at work with colleagues that we see? to see what his life is like.
The thing
what does he do to unwind?
People...
Like, what does he do to be himself? Does he have to stay in hiding, or are there special places he's allowed? Like, do you know what I mean? Show us of that.
The thing that I always point people to when
he's fighting between his humanity and his demon self. He's all demon then in this version because he barely does anything human.
The thing that I always point people to when I'm talking about Hellboy comics, and to sort of give them an idea of the tone of the series, is there's a 2-page story called Pancakes, written and drawn by Mike Mignola, and
I like it already.
It's a flashback to when Hellboy was a little boy growing up on Area 51. He's growing up in Area 51 with the nascent BPRD, and he's being given breakfast by the general who's running the place, and he's like, "I want noodles. I want hot noodles." It's like, "No, you're having pancakes." "I don't like pancakes. They're disgusting. I don't want them." But it's just he's doing this such mode. I can't do it justice just by describing it. But I'm gonna just get the thing of it. Just it's a 2-page comic. Look it up. And then he eats the pancake and decides that he loves them. And then it cuts to hell, and it's several of the dukes and lords of hell lamenting that the boy has eaten the pancake. He will never come back to us now. Truly, it is our darkest hour. And that is, that sums up Hellboy's character.
That's wonderful.
And also the tone of the series as a whole in 2 pages.
Yeah. That is wonderful.
And it's that kind of thing that is lacking from this so much.
Yeah.
They've brought in elements and plot elements and visual signifiers from the comics, but none of the tone and heart of it, which is what makes Hellboy so compelling as a property. And it just doesn't have anything of it in the film. It's like they bring Baba Yaga in because Baba Yaga's a fairly major player in the comics, but then they don't really use her for anything. They have a big extended sequence with her in the middle of the film, which doesn't go anywhere.
Where she eats. Oh God! Right. Okay. So where she's clearly seen eating and devouring children,
and he leaves her alive.
But it's like she's seen devouring children in a shot that is obviously meant to be dark when he's looking over his shoulder, and that horrible dawning realization. But at the same time, I was like, oh, they're about to establish that she's working with, what's his name, Graugak. They're about to establish that they're working together, and this is going to unweave the web a little. Like, he's not going to make a bargain with her to try and get information. He's going to beat it out of her because he's like, I know you know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? But no, nothing. They don't even make a reference to, like, because it's almost like it was implying that she's getting hold of children, even though she's in her exile, because of Graugak. He's doing it for her. You know what I mean? It's part of this plan. But they don't say that. The shot implies it, and then they move on. And it's like,
well, if you've read the comics, you'll have an idea that that's what's happening, but it's so bastardized that
God.
It's done to pay lip service to the source material, not to actually adapt the source material.
Oh, speaking of...
They're trying to score brownie points.
Yeah, with the nerds.
The people who like the comics, but then it doesn't work because they don't do it in context.
Speaking of lip service, can we talk about Graugak's terrible fucking CGI?
Yeah, we can. There's a lot of terrible CGI.
Oh, there's so much. Oh, good lord, there's so much. I was having Mummy Returns flashbacks.
And this movie is nowhere near as entertaining as Mummy Returns.
Yes.
So it doesn't even have that to fall back on. Mummy Returns has some terrible CGI in it, but at least it's fun.
It's a great, entertaining time at the cinema. This was my first bus ride. Like, it is wonderful. but it is just... Oh, good. Right, so Graugak, as a practical suit, as seen in on-set images and teaser images before the film came out, and as seen in wide shots in this...
Yeah,
is a glorious piece of design.
Really good.
A wonderful
really
bit of subtle puppetry and big prosthetics and costume work. It's great.
As is, I will also argue, the Baba Yaga.
Oh, yeah, Baba Yaga, she looks fantastic. Saggy tits and all. She looks fantastic. But then, Graugak speaks, and every time he speaks, it cuts to a close-up of him, or he's in frame slightly, intruding frame slightly. And it's a CGI head that has whose neck movement is so different from the on-set version.
There is an awful lot of floating heads on CGI or CGI floating heads on things in this film, and none of it is good.
It's so strange. It's so, like, how do you match it so badly?
Well, by the same on the same level, you've also got the effect that is used when Alice summons the dead.
Oh god, which looks amazing for the first 3 seconds when you go, oh my god, and then the people
when they use
appear.
it for an extended dialogue sequence, which is supposed to have like emotional impact towards the end of the film, it just doesn't work. It kills the moment completely.
Especially
Ian McShane acting his fucking socks off, but it's just his head superimposed onto this naked, slimy half-torso thing that doesn't look like it's in the same universe as anything else, let alone in the same fucking room.
God, and the fact that both his and Sophie Okonado's ones, like, their size and mass changes between shots. So not even like, oh, this thing sort of like expands and contracts and is, you know, is ever sort of undulating or anything. Between shots, its size changes.
Yeah. And I get that they wanted like an interesting gross visual for Summoning the Dead, but like you had to think about the practicalities of how it's going to be used. Even if you had all the fucking money in the world, even if you had MCU money, it would be difficult to make that effect look good for a long dialogue scene.
Yeah.
But when you have a $50 million budget, no fucking way.
I mean, not doable. Buy into the absurdity and go more grotesque with it and do it that way. Like, and I almost hate to keep bringing up the comparison because it just makes me wish I'd watched it instead. The 2004 Guillermo del Toro film Hellboy. They have the top end of a corpse as a guide in the caves, and they know that it could look ridiculous. So they go, do you know what? Then let's make it a bit more cartoony. Let's make it a little more stylized. And as a result, it's one of the most memorable visuals in that first movie.
But also because of the way that it's used and shot with, they having it carried by Hellboy allows them to integrate the animatronics into the costume and help shoot it better.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah.
But this is just bad CGI around an Ian McShane face and a Sophie Okonedo face, obviously in the early. Again, Sophie Okonedo, a great actress who is criminally underused in this.
Brought in again as, I believe, a comic book character from the run and just sort of shunted to one side. And
well, she's not a particularly major character in the comics. She's the medium that's there when Hellboy is born.
But like, she could be the gateway to him learning more about why he's meant to be here.
But she's just a flashback exposition machine.
Flashback exposition machine, floating corpse, and temporary antagonist for a scene, essentially.
It's literally all she does is, come on, give you the exposition of Hellboy's origin, then she's killed off screen, and then resurrected from the dead to give you a bit more exposition.
Yeah.
That is all they do with her.
Good God.
Fuck me sideways. All the joy that could be in this movie. Like things like the giant fight when it's not being ruined by shit CGI. Things like the luchador fight sequence. Things like the relationship between Ian McShane and David Harbour in that first Hellboy broom scene. All the things that you might get pleasure out of in this are completely ruined, trampled flat by all the shit in it.
Oh Christ!
Like, it just the King Arthur thing is a big thing for Hellboy,
and an interesting story to tell, but not in this way, not in a rushed bit
because
of
it's so sort of papered over. And I saw it with my dad, and he was like, "What? What?" Because it just comes out of nowhere, it isn't properly addressed, and then it's like he turns down Excalibur, But then Excalibur just happens to be beneath St. Paul's Cathedral, which is where the climax takes place.
Oh yeah. So
even though it
should be around like freaking Cornwall or whatever, and let us then reiterate that apparently you can get from a coastal town like in Devon to London in 20 minutes. Apparently,
apparently so.
Apparently,
but again, like in
Neil Marshall's British. What the fuck?
The thing, also, it being a coincidence, like contrived coincidences happen in narratives. But even then,
if it's in service of the pacing of the story, then fair enough.
Yeah, but the problem is then that all that entire Merlin sequence is completely redundant because he ends up having to take the sword anyway, and the only real purpose it serves is to have that flash forward of a possible future, which gives him cool stuff to put in the trailers. That's the only purpose it serves. Because if you were being savvy, you could cut the King Arthur reveal stuff there, and have, Alex be treated by, a fucking medic, maybe a BPID medic trained in some sort of occult medicine, like a fucking, like an organisation like that might have. I don't know if there was any sort of world building in actually done in this film. And then you would have the reveal of Excalibur in the St. Paul's fight, and have Nimue reveal or realise that Hellboy is the last descendant of Arthur and that he can take the sword, but then don't have him take the sword and start the apocalypse, have him take the sword and kill her.
Because that was the other thing too. I mean? Like, she didn't need him for her plan to destroy all sort of human life to be carried out. She didn't need him.
No, she
wanted him.
For the only reason being because the plot dictated that she didn't wanted him.
Yeah.
It's never really properly established why she wants him, because when he becomes becomes the demon version of himself, he just seems to become a mindless beast.
Yeah.
So it's not something that she can control or reason with, really. So it's just, why bother? Oh, because the plot said so.
It's also just the idea that they clearly wanted to start a franchise, yet opened with his prophecy story.
Yeah.
Like, so the big one has been done. Like, it's over.
But they also...
Because I know the 2004 one touches on that, but it's more using his power to help push Rasputin's plan forward.
But it's also because they have...
Like, Hellboy is still an instrument to Rasputin, it's not Hellboy's destiny outright here.
Well, yeah, but also presumably because they have omitted because they probably didn't want to ape the 2004 version so much. They've omitted the Lovecraftian Ogdru Jihad part of the backstory, which is
way more Mike Mignola, really, in terms of the visuals.
That is from the comics.
Yeah.
Like, it's not it's not so much a sort of biblical hell on earth apocalypse, although it is partly that. It is also the Ogdru Jihad being released and bringing the apocalypse that way. That is kind of the end game for the apocalypse that Hellboy will cause. So, the fact that they don't do that means that you don't understand the stakes.
Yeah. Oh God.
And it doesn't really mean anything because you're not doing. You never establish what exactly is going to happen. And it just makes it feel pointless and a bit generic.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good review of the film outright, to be honest.
Pointless and a bit generic.
Yeah, just...
A bit like this podcast. Yeah, I don't have anything more to say about Hellboy, except go and read the collections.
Go read some Hellboy, guys. I mean,
yeah.
I just... And again...
You can get the entire Hellboy story in 4 trades. 2 short story collections and 4 omnibus editions that collect all the miniseries. Like, They're really great. Go and read those.
It seems like a redundant comment at this point, but like if you want to watch something with Hellboy in it that's good,
2004
Hellboy. And 2008, man, and then if you want a bit more, go get the animated ones that follow on from those films and watch them. Can we talk about the post-credits and pre-post-credits stingers?
I didn't stick around for the last one.
There wasn't a very post-credit one, but it was the last thing was the Lobster Johnson scene. Did you see that?
Oh, right, yeah. That I saw.
Yeah.
Again, completely pointless.
Yeah, really dumb pointless. Like, so he's basically sat on Broom's grave getting drunk. Yeah. And then Lobster Johnson appears, and you're just like, wait, are they trying to tell us that Thomas Hayden Church has stayed looking the same for 70 years? What's going on? But no, he's a ghost.
I mean, I love the idea of Thomas Hayden Church as Lobster Johnson.
Yeah, great. Again, great casting, but it doesn't need to exist here.
No, there's no place in this film whatsoever.
So Lobster Johnson rocks up, basically gives him a pep talk and to not be a crybaby whilst he's drunk as fuck. And then walks through the grave and he's like, oh my god, you're a ghost, I'm such a big fan. And that's it. You're like, what?
Yeah.
There was no previous mention in the film that Hellboy even knew what the lobster was. Never mind was a fan of him.
Fortunately, the famous Nazi hunter Lobster Johnson appeared.
Oh god! And then the credits, sort of the epilogue in the film itself,
fucking awful,
shows the BPRD, or at least these three fuckers, on missions.
Alice is now a fully trained BPRD field agent with her own sort of BPRD branded knuckle duster because, as we discovered during the course of this film, she can, I guess, punch things' souls out of them, but they never establish what exactly it is that she's doing or how it works.
And
or
for that matter, Puma Catboy, who in the finale of the film physically undresses himself, which I actually, as weird as that sounds, when he started doing that, I was like, that's actually brilliant. You don't see that in films when people transform. No one does it. No one goes, right, I know what's going to happen. I'm getting my kit off. And then I'll get changed when I change back. So I was like, that's kind of cool. And then in the epilogue, he transforms and then transforms back into his clothes.
Yeah.
So it's like, well done, movie, you fucked up again.
Unstable molecules.
Oh, good lord. All right, Reed.
And then of course we get so the operation seems to consist of.
Well, that's it. You don't see what they're doing. They're just punching dudes in.
Yeah, they just come into a secret lab and murder everyone, and then they find.
They find it in a way where it's like they didn't expect it to be there. She goes, "What's the fearless sapien?" And then webbed hand on the glass, and then we cut to credits. And again, it was this film relying on the general public's knowledge for this bit of the previous films to be like, oh, it's the fish guy. And for comic fans, obviously, it's about as effective and as classy, i.e. not at all, as the fucking Carnage bit in the Venom credits. Like, it's pointless, and it's
all sequel bait. There's so much sequel bait in this film, and I would imagine that's also part of the alleged producer interference, because Lawrence Gordon and Lloyd Levine, if the producers as they are, will have been going, okay, so comic book movie universes are big right now. And Hellboy is absolutely one of those. Like, the Hellboy series did spawn a wider sort of story of the BPRD and their exploits.
No, but the BPRD have had their own series as well, haven't they?
Yeah, several of their own series. Abe Sapien has had his own solo adventures, and there's been some Lobster Johnson stuff set in the sort of pre-war era. I think this is what it is. BPRD, Cerebral Grey Witchfinder, Lobster Johnson, Abe Sapien. They've all been sort of their own sort of story spin-offs. BPRD, obviously most prominently featuring Abe Sapien, Liz Sherman, Johann Kraus, Roger the Homunculus, Ben Damio, and Professor Kate Morgan. I can't remember her name. But yeah, BPRD, but not without stuff that they do when Hellboy's not around and things. Because actually Hellboy doesn't spend that long in the comics as part of the BPRD.
Yeah.
Like, when a lot of the stuff that's in this film happens in the comics, he's already left the BPRD and has been wandering the earth looking for his purpose because he's become disillusioned with everything. And he's actively trying to get away from his destiny. So, again, they use stuff that's in the comics because people will be like, oh, that's in the comics, but they don't give it its proper context or setup, so it just falls completely flat. And rather than actually adapting something.
The saddest loss here is that this is going to put Hellboy back as a franchise for quite some time.
Yeah, there's no chance in hell, that this is getting a sequel, because no one's going to see it. It didn't do that well on its opening weekend, and word of mouth killed it almost immediately afterwards. And it's a shame, because I would love to see more of David Harbour's Hellboy. I think he's a really good choice for the character. And what he does here with it, I think is, within the restrictions of the shoddy production, really good. But, no, they just piss it away. Absolutely piss it away. Piss away a great license and great source material and great actors on a shitty movie. It's really bad.
Don't buy a ticket, guys, if you haven't seen it and you just want to hear the spoilers. Instead, spend that money, go to HMV. They're currently doing a deal on Hellboy and Hellboy 2 The Golden Army on DVD and Blu-ray. The DVDs are $2.99 with any other purchase, and the Blu-rays are $4.99 with any other purchase. Spend the money on that. Just do it. Just watch those movies and forget this one exists.
I guarantee
awful.
Most people will have forgotten this exists in a week's time when Endgame comes out.
The plague is spreading from London. Also, let's not mention the giant fucking bone monsters walking through the streets.
That's the thing. Like, the giant bone monsters come up from hell and start killing people, starting with the guy walking across the street with his briefcase, after there's already been a plague in London, so...
Oh, God. Why are there people still around?
Yeah. What the fuck? To be sort of... have their faces ripped off and be impaled by leg walkers and shit. It's just like, okay, so you just had a bunch of ideas for giant monsters killing people in unusual, gory ways. That's great. Didn't need to be in this movie because it serves no purpose whatsoever.
And is gone within seconds.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. Cool visuals, but they don't belong in this movie.
Yeah.
Because they work well in some other horror kind, or even in a version of this movie where that stuff actually matters to the characters that we know, rather than it just happening to random people on the other side of the fucking city. But no. Just whack it in there. For the trailers. It's all for the trailers.
For the trailers, though. For the trailers. For the trailers.
Take us home, Chris.
Oh, must I? Yeah. I don't think we can go home again after this.
Well, you're going to be back home next week, and we are going to be talking Avengers Endgame.
Aye, as Matt said earlier in this episode, if you've been listening right now, you've probably already seen Avengers or are about to see it in the next couple of days. So
yeah, we'll have seen it by the time this is out.
Yeah. So we want to know, for next week, boys and girls, for episode 149 of the Big Damn Cast, what did you think of Avengers Endgame? Send us your reviews, bigdamcontact@gmail.com. You can also hit us up in the usual spots. At Big Damn Cast on Twitter. The Big Damn Stream is on twitch.tv. This young man is braving heavy rain right now.
Oh, it's so fucking bad, Chris.
Do you know what? I have a soft spot for it, but it is not a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination.
Awful. It's not the masterpiece it thinks it is.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah, and I mean, but look at all the realistic character motivations and story choices. Cool, yeah, but why do the boobs look like they're carved out of marble and granite?
Also, why the boobs in the first place?
Yeah.
Why the shower scene?
Can we have at least one scene of a naked dude to balance this out so that it's not obviously on the nose?
You do get a shower scene with Ethan at the beginning, but it's not about balance.
No, well...
Why is this woman whose name I don't know taking a shower and then getting immediately murdered? Oh, but it's all a dream. And now you're not playing as her, and you still don't know what her name is or who she is or what she does.
Spoiler alert, the killer is in all of us. Oh god, yeah. The origami killer.
The origami killer, fucking
If you can't be arsed learning origami, though, do check out all the relevant stuffs we've mentioned. Drop us a review on Intunes, which is iTunes pronounced wrong, if you fancy.
Intunes.
Spread the word. If you love the Big Damn Cast and you think other people would like it too, let them know. We can only grow with your help, by Jiminy. At the minute, it's almost like you're all keeping us in a basement, tied by our ankles to the bedpost.
With your help and black market hormones.
That too. So... Speaking of which, we should probably go and, Oh.
Yeah, I need to go juice.
Oh, God. Oh.
I need to go squeeze and pump.
But... God.
Thank you for listening, all. Thank you for braving Hellboy, Christopher. I know you had limited time.
Oh, God.
Can't wait till you get back and we can dig into Avengers Endgame, because even if it's not good, it's at least going to be interesting. And Hellboy was neither. So, see you next time, everybody.
Goodbye, gentle listener.